5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The Health Net Show on Radio 1 FM 90.
Five minutes after 9 o'clock. Health Net hosted by Vincent on Radio 1 FM 90. And today I have a guest who is familiar, and I'm sure. Well, let me let you introduce yourself, and then I guess that'll trigger some memories for some people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if they'll remember.
Well.
Anyway, my name is Shaka Banda Shaka, Rotarian Shaka.
Yes.
The reason I'm saying Rotarian is because I'm here as a walking Rotarian, working for mental health awareness and part of the Rotary Club of Arkwright City in Weweja. Yeah, the reason you're talking of whether people could remember me is because I have a history in Radio 1.
You did 2 stints.
Yeah. I was here in 2003. I did some work on air. Yeah, it's Party Zone.
Oh yeah. Saturday night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was this midnight show from 9 to midnight. Was
9 to Rhythm of the Night.
Rhythm of the Night. I did. Yeah.
I've actually done that.
Yeah.
Somehow now. It's been
Yeah. I was also on Spectrum as the engineer.
Oh, I
I was
see.
working in production. Yeah. I also did the Health Net show
Yes,
in 2013.
you were on this side of the tape.
I came here a little bit in 2013 and did. Health Net show was one of those that I did.
I see.
Yeah. So
Interesting. So it's very nice to have you
I'm
here.
back home.
Especially nice because we're going to talk about mental health.
Yeah.
And first, tell us, what does walking Rotarian? What does that mean?
Walking Rotarian means that I am a Rotarian that walks long distances, using the long distances as a way of capturing attention. Attention that I can then utilize to start a narrative about a very serious issue that we have in our country of mental health.
All right. And I appreciate you because you've done a bunch of certificates. I think one of them from Yale University on mental health. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I feel like you have a very, very lay understanding. Like you understand what the layman also understands.
Yeah.
And then you also have the professional understanding that comes from your certificates.
Yeah.
So if you put those two worlds together,
Yeah.
at that intersection, how would you define mental health?
Well, mental health is really the ability for someone to recognize and understand their abilities. You must be aware of what you're capable of. Then also, it is holistic in the sense that the person's physical abilities, the person's emotional abilities, social abilities, and even their ability to contribute to the community in an economic way, in a social way, must be up to date. So it is holistic when it comes to mental health. It's not just the absence of madness. No, it is your ability to be a contributing member who is able to cope with daily stresses, and also very much aware of their ability, their limitations and their strength.
All right. Now, when you look at the flip side, when someone becomes mentally unhealthy, or what would you define mental ill health as now?
Yeah, mental ill health is mostly the inability to cope with the strains and stresses of daily life. Sometimes it can also mean the presence of psychosis. And when I talk about psychosis, I'm talking about things like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, mania, all those things. It can mean the presence of those, but also for those that do not have that illness, it can mean me and you, our inability to cope with the stresses and strains of daily living.
All right. It's also one of the things that we talked about, because many times when we view mental health, it's only recently that we're starting to view it more wholly. Before, we used to look at it at the extremities, where if someone has bipolar and is going through a mania episode, schizophrenic is also going through like a very extreme of psychosis, or all the people who have gone through mental health stresses that they're walking. There's not so many of them walking on the streets lately, or maybe at least where I walk. But it's beyond that, right?
Oh yeah,
it's beyond that, and that's where I want to take the discussion in terms of what are these signs and symptoms that someone could see before you get to the extremity, like probably at its infancy, to tell them they're experiencing or they're about to experience mental ill health.
Yeah. You're right. The big issue is those of us that are walking the streets, because in Uganda there have been studies and talk about 6 people out of 10 people having mental health issues. And on the world, a population of 42 million people, you don't expect all those people to be in Utarika. So it means that the majority that have mental health issues are working and are functional people like you and I, coming to work, having families, being active church members and community members. But really we are suffering, because actually when they did the studies in Uganda, they said that anxiety and depression are the biggest mental health issues that people are suffering. And and you asked about the symptoms. Very many different kinds of mental illnesses have very many different kinds of symptoms. So maybe if you're to talk about the symptoms, you talk about the ones that are the biggest ones in Uganda, which is depression and anxiety. Where depression is really a lack of energy.
That's to put it very simply.
Your brain is not getting enough energy, so it shows itself in low mood, low motivation. Another big one on depression is also suicidal thoughts. So you can get a lot of negative thoughts. Fatigue. You don't really want to get out of bed. Then when it comes to anxiety, you have a lot of worrying, a lot of excessive fear, persistent bad thoughts, compulsive thoughts, which are very hard to control. You go into things like avoidance, trying to avoid situations that cause that anxiety, and so you miss out on a lot of life. You get into this idea of trying to be in control, because you do not want anything that you cannot control. It causes you more anxiety. So those are the symptoms of anxiety and depression.
I see. So what causes this? What causes someone to get into we'll talk about the big two, anxiety and depression. What causes someone to actually get into such a condition?
Well, some conditions are caused by genetics. Some conditions where you find that if there is a family member that has, for example, bipolar, maybe a mother or father, then the children are likely to have it. Things like anxiety also have been shown to run in families. Then there is a personality type. There are people that call themselves warriors. I've always been a warrior.
Oh
And so there are some personality types that attract certain mental illnesses like anxiety or depression. Then there are substances. There's substance use. Alcohol causes anxiety. And others as well. You can find when people like on pressure medicine, high blood pressure medicine.
Oh yes, and medication.
It can develop anxiety. It can cause anxiety to come up. Yeah, things like that.
Interesting. But the one.
Oh,
thing that-
sorry.
Yes.
There's also the issue of trauma, life trauma, life
Great
circumstances,
brilliant, yes.
experiences that you go through in life can cause you to suffer anxiety issues or
Yes.
depression
Or
or
you get into
whatever,
depression.
whatever mental illnesses.
Yes. So, I want to get into the coping mechanisms because I feel like that's where you've done study in that area and you're very well practicing that area.
Yeah.
Just before I get to that, I want you to talk about how do you think, especially that you started out lay and then got interested in mental health, but maybe just even before I get to that question, what got you interested and got you to pay attention to mental health? Because for many people, many times when you hear the stories, they went through a traumatic event, they lost someone to mental illness.
Yeah.
There's always like a point where they change and pay attention to it. So what was yours? When did you cross the road?
Oh well, first of all, going into mental health, let me see, how do I start it? I'll give maybe a brief background about my life.
Okay.
3 years ago, I transformed my life from an anxious, fearful, overweight person to now an elite athlete with zero anxiety and zero depression. I also used to be a weed smoker as well as an daily alcohol consumer. Call me a drunkard and an alcoholic.
Oh, so recently I was having a discussion about interestingly, it was at a drinking table.
Yeah.
So someone was giving me distinctions between drunkards and they shared with me a terminology. Yes, high functioning alcoholic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where
I
they
was
will,
functioning.
they will do everything
Yeah.
that they normally do.
Yeah.
But they take
Consume
obscene amounts of
colossal amounts. You see, actually, it's very easy to become a big drinker, even when you're drinking moderately according to the community in which you live.
Yes.
Yeah, because when I was drinking half a liter of Gilbey's on a daily basis, people were like,
That guy
"We
had
don't
this-
know.
Hey.
No,
Hey.
you don't drink much. You're not a drinker. You even control yourself. You're fine." But
Oh, I see.
scientifically, when you look at it, really, the liver can only process 10 grams of alcohol per hour. It's now, like, Gilbey's is 40% alcohol. So if you do 500 grams, that's 500 mils. That's like what? 40% of that is what?
40% of what is
200 grams
of
alcohol. Yeah. So your liver needs how many hours to break
actually
that down?
process
A
that.
lot, because it does that at 10 grams per hour. Yeah. So anyway, the point is, I was over drinking. I was over drinking, smoking weed, but a family man, businessman, active community member, active church member. Yeah, I was not this guy on the street. Yeah, but I was partaking of those substances, and mainly it was because I needed to numb the pain of daily living. That was my coping mechanism for the stresses and strains of life. You know, so the whole point is I was able to build my coping mechanisms as well as, resilience, to be able to quit those and then also get to, lose weight as I have and be able to do the crazy miles that I do. I'm a long distance walker.
Yes, we're definitely going to get into that, but maybe just I still want to was there a turning point? Often people, like, for example, lose somebody, or like what actually was there to tell you? Because by very many explanations, you were living a normal life. Actually, you were
Very
living,
normal.
but your peers were living a better than normal life because
Very
you
normal.
could tell yourself to be able to stop. So
Yeah.
what was that happened that told you this is not a perfect way to live? I can do better with myself, and I'm going to do better with myself.
Well, I cannot tell you that there was really one particular time for or incident that caused that to happen. No, it is a case of phasing in, phasing into this life and phasing out of the old life. I've always been one who was never satisfied with the status quo. I think I was born a rebel, or I was conditioned into being a rebel. I don't know, whichever it is. So I always questioned the status quo, and I always, what shall we call it, a critical thinker, always asking why. Yeah. So I always wanted something better. I wanted an optimal life. I wanted, what is the way in which I can optimize this human life to the best way possible?
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
in a bit we'll be discussing that, but for those joining us today, we are having a discussion about mental health with Rotarian Shaka, and well, he is the walking Rotarian, and he's had a very interesting journey learning about mental health and basically practicing these various things to ensure that his life, or he lives a very mentally healthy life. He'll be sharing with us the coping mechanisms and why you should be doing this or introduce some of this in your life. Interested in.
The Health Net Show on Radio 1 FM 90.
23 minutes after 9 o'clock. HealthNet hosted by Vincent on Radio FM 90. Today with Rotarian Banda Shaka. We talk about mental health, particularly his own journey and his contribution in terms of fighting mental ill health and fighting to ensure that more people are mentally healthy. He is the walking Rotarian. Walking Rotarian. That's what's the story behind that brand?
Yeah. So at the beginning of our Hope Creator year, as Rotarians, every year we have a different theme. So this year was, and a bit of last year was Hope Creator year. Got a president, our Rotary International president, Gordon McNally, who himself suffered loss from I think his brother committed suicide because of depression. Called upon Rotarians all over the world to apply their expertise, their talents, their money, their networks, their knowledge, to try and ensure that in their communities they have good mental health, so that we can have a peaceful world. We cannot have a peaceful world with mentally ill people. Yeah. So so he called upon all Rotarians all over the world to do what they can do. And me personally, I decided I was going to use my long distance walking abilities to shed light to the issue of mental health awareness, especially coming from Uganda, a country that has ranked very highly when it comes to issues of mental health, and yet the discussion about mental health is not being had as much as we should be having it. Yeah. So that is why the Walking Rotarian came up, walking for mental health.
So, walking for mental health, what do you have a starting point? Do you walk to somewhere? How do you draw attention to mental health through the walking?
Yeah. Well, I do cover long distances, and for example, last year I was able to walk from Masaka to Accra City, about 150 kilometers.
How long did you take you?
I did that in 4 working days. The whole point being that I would go and meet the Rotarians. I would meet the Rotarians in Lukaya, met Rotaractors in Kozi University, and then had a discussion about mental health as well as the coping mechanisms, and shared my story. I did the same this year. I walked from Kisoro to Kabale, met the Rotarians and Rotaractors in Kabale as well. Talked about that. Kisoro Kabale is interesting because of the hills, nice long journey. But then again, 1 week ago, I was able, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I was able to walk from Jinja to Busia. Met Rotarians of Jinja as well, met Rotarians of Busia, and then turned around when I reached Busia and walked back from Busia up to Kampala.
Walked from
Yeah, I'm crazy like that.
sitting for a drive from Busia to Kampala. I feel like it's very punishing.
Yeah.
Walking from how long did that take?
Yeah. It took me, the whole thing took me 11 walking days. Yeah, 4 days from Jinja to Busia, 7 days from Busia to Upright City.
Wait, so what's for lack of a better word, the science behind walking? Why did you pick on walking, and how does it?
Yeah.
I guess that takes us directly to the discussion on coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
How we start with the walking. Yeah.
Yeah. Walking, first of all, walking is our bodies were designed to walk by God. When He was creating us, He designed us to walk. And walking is very natural, very easy, and everyone can start from where they are when it comes to walking. Everyone can do it. But unfortunately, we're not doing it. We're just sitting a lot, so-called sedentary lifestyles on our phones, in our offices, in our shops. Yeah, so and the moment you start to walk, you start to heal physically and mentally. So if there is a tonic and a quick shot for mental health issues, it is walking. Yeah, so the walking Rotarian always wants to shed light on the issue that walking is the thing, is the thing that can actually reduce your anxiety, reduce your depression, cause good hormones to be released into the bloodstream, happiness hormones, reduce your weight. Walking causes you to reduce weight, and when you reduce weight, your health goes up in level, and as well as your mental health. Yeah, so I feel that shedding light on mental illness while on mental health while showing people that walking is the thing, the two go together very well. But then again, the issue of long distance walking is a case of in long distance walking there is solitude, aloneness. When I'm walking those distances all by myself, I'm not on my phone, I'm not distracted, I'm with myself. And so I get to heal, I get to deal with all the traumas in my life, I get to think deeply, I get to, so by the time I get to my destination, I am more into myself. Then there's what they call contemplation. Contemplation is one of the ways in which you can build resilience. Because we're distracted now with social media and everything, we rarely have time to really contemplate, to really think about our lives, to re-anchor ourselves, to reorient ourselves. We don't usually have that time. So when you are doing a long distance walk, you're really by yourself and you get to contemplate. Another one is facing your fears. When I talk of walking from Busia and then back, I was afraid. But that's the whole point. If you want to fight anxiety, one of the ways that therapists deal with you on issues of like anxiety is to make you face those things that you are scared of. Because when you face them, they crumble. Yeah. So when you're doing those long distance walks, you're facing your fears. You are also putting your body through what they call chosen pain. Pain that you have chosen. Voluntary pain. Yeah. So when you overcome that pain, you gain more confidence. You become a more confident person. You even start to believe in yourself. Very many people do not believe in themselves. Yeah, I was one of those. But now my confidence levels are, through the roof. So, this long distance walking thing really does a lot. And I'm not saying everyone should be a long distance walker. I'm just saying, just walk.
Yeah, especially because it keeps you healthy. But
yeah.
So one person would wonder now. For you, you're already doing walks from Busia back to Kampala. But one of the very typical things that happens at the beginning of the year is the people making the various resolutions on how they're going to live healthy. Some will do gym memberships and stuff, but by end of the first week of the year,
Yeah.
this is already been dropped by the wayside. So
Yeah.
if someone wants to take on the journey of walking as a way to one, keep healthy, but also improve their mental health, talk about how do they remain consistent.
Yeah.
What strategies can they use or employ to remain consistent? Because it's one of the easier things to do to keep healthy.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to have your why. When you have your why, the how becomes inconsequential. Yeah. So many people don't really know why they're doing these things. If you really know your why is your value system, your purpose, your meaning, the things that really matter to you. So if you know that the reason why you are going to work out is to lose weight and also have an optimal mental health, and you really understand what that means to yourself and then to your family and then to your community, then you're more likely to stay there. Yeah. And another one also is role models. Yeah, it's always nice to get role models. You can have role models in your community, or you can have role models online. Now with the internet, we have crazy role models. Mine is David Goggins. Do you know David Goggins? He's crazy. You should look him up. Yeah.
What does he do?
He does crazy physical feats. Yeah, and he was once a very fat guy, scared guy, but he changed himself, became a Navy SEAL, Ranger, US Ranger something, has run crazy ultra marathons. David Goggins. Oh man, look him up. I have another one also called Elitom Elamin. Also my role model for good mental as well as physical health. So when you have role models, they give you a reference point, and you cannot really grow very big wings because you know that there are people that are doing real serious stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so role models are very important. Then another one is spiritual anchoring. Yeah, this is very, very important because, like I said, it keeps you rooted, keeps you humble, and keeps you disciplined.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really how you can stay in the game.
Some people usually when they talk about their struggles with consistency, it's to get like a friend group, a club, a support system. What say you in for people who go for that route?
Oh yeah, that's really fantastic. That's really fantastic, actually, even for mental health. Good relationships are like the pillar of fantastic mental health. Community members will encourage each other, you motivate each other, you set high standards for each other. Yeah, it's really fantastic. It is one of the ways. Plus, chunking your big goal into small, manageable. Yeah,
on your first
yeah. Why should you do 100 kilometers? Do 5. Do 5 if that's what your 5 can do. Do the 5 for 2 weeks. Your body will ask for the 6th, for the 3rd week.
Okay.
Yeah. So the whole point is have many small victories and celebrate those small victories.
All right. Is there a community of walkers in Kampala? Well, like, are there other people that join you on these walks, and also are there people who can join you on these walks? Especially because you said relationships and being able to do it in a group would be helpful. Can people join you on these walks?
Personally, I'm walking solo right now. I'm walking solo. I have entertained the idea of walking with other people, especially if it's going to motivate other people to go into walking. Yeah, but of course there are hashing groups everywhere. Yeah, people do a lot of walking and running. Yeah, although I encourage people to do more of walking because running sometimes can be painful, and then when it hurts you, you give up.
Sure.
Then some people who are really fat and old, like my age, in their 40s, 50s, when you start running, it really hurts your joints.
Mm.
So that pain makes you discouraged.
Walk,
And
yeah.
Yet walking is easy on the joints, and it gets you where you want to get, which is physical fitness,
I hear you.
as well as mental health.
So, talk about what would be your comment in terms of the understanding as a country that we have of mental health, understanding and appreciation of mental health? How much do we understand? You already admitted we don't talk about mental health enough, but do we even understand it before we can talk about it?
Well, the big issue about mental health that causes it not to be truly understood, because I don't feel that it's truly understood. You know, the community and society that we live in now, everyone is just looking for money. You know, that is what everyone is just thinking about. Money, 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 money. And because they are focusing on the money, they lose focus on their health. Let me just say it like that. Yeah, so you find somebody sitting in the office on his computer all day long, comes from there, goes to the bar to distress with friends, then goes from the bar, goes home, eats food, sits on the TV, and then goes to sleep. But they are really unaware because their focus is just on the money. It is only when the body starts hurting, when the doctor tells you to start quitting certain things, that you start styling up, you know, start waking up to other things in life, like your health. And of course, the body and the mind are one. You cannot neglect one and then the other one is superior. You cannot have a good mind with a bad body. You cannot have a bad body with a good mind. No, the two are the same, are different sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
So when you work on one, you work on the other as well. Yeah, so I feel that in our country right now, especially in the urban areas, people were just focusing on money for survival, I suppose, and not putting our focus on the real wealth, which is your health.
I hear you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
the other thing, and you did allude to this at the beginning, talk about peer pressure, especially in terms of being a causal factor in spreading or pretty much keeping us within mental ill health. You talked about your peers who are sharing with you, basically telling you have to do more in terms of how much you can take.
Oh yeah.
So, and there is several different layers of this. If you probably go back home early, or if you retire early, you're looked at as the outlier. If you try to exercise, you're like, he's too healthy. So the peer pressure of the society, talk about that, and in terms of journeying, and how can someone be able to transcend those sort of peers and get themselves on a journey?
Yeah. Well, if I was to talk about peer pressure as far as mental health is concerned, I think I'll do it justice, especially if I spoke on the issue of stigma. Yeah, stigma. People are afraid of appearing to have mental health issues. They're afraid of appearing to be anxious, appearing to be depressed, worrisome, fearful, all that stuff. So our peers do not create an environment for us to speak openly about whatever challenge that we are facing. So there is peer pressure in terms of stigma against mental illness issues. So we are not open to speak, and we are also into the idea of conforming.
Yeah.
We want to conform because we are afraid of being ostracized. But that is not just in Uganda. It's a human issue. Conformity. If you're in the tribe, you better follow the rules of the tribe. Yeah. So the idea of going home early and being ridiculed for it, or that, yes, it's peer pressure. You're not drinking and coming. People find it weird that you're not drinking, or you're not eating these kinds of foods, or whatever it is. So yes, there is pressure, but like I said, once you know your why, then your how becomes easy. Yeah. On my journey of transformation, I met a lot of resistance from my community, from my society, on the new life that I'm taking. You know, weird how, how do you be happy? How do you not drink?
Yeah, what do you...
Where do you get your happiness from?
Sure.
You know? I said, boss, I was born happy.
That's question.
I was born happy. I was just conditioned to stop being happy. I just have to discover that the happiness is inside me. I remove the layers of the conditioning and expose the happiness again.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. If you want to join in the discussion, you can. The numbers to reach us on 0414346111, 0414348111, 0414348411. You can also reach us on the WhatsApp line 0703090090. That's the number that you can reach us on. Share with us any comment or question, and yes, it can. We definitely will be able to give you the answer. I have Kara here who says, yes, thank you for sharing. I need you to talk about people in business, especially starting entrepreneurs. They go through a lot of mental health challenges. How can they cope with this?
Yeah.
That's a very big... I remember someone was talking about, we were having a discussion and said there needs to be a particular tailored mental health counseling session for entrepreneurs, especially people who are just starting out in entrepreneurship. Yeah, because they go through quite a bit.
Yeah. But you see, actually, I'm an entrepreneur as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an entrepreneur as well. I'm into cottage industry. I make skincare products, shea butter-based skincare products, natural. I'm also into technology skilling. I run clubs in primary schools that teach coding, robotics, as well as digital animation. So I am an entrepreneur, and I know the stresses that entrepreneurs face.
Yes.
I don't know if they are separate for those that are beginning from those that are ongoing. I think stress is stress.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I think stress is stress. And so what are the coping mechanisms that I use? Because me, I'm stress-free. Yeah, and I used to have a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And as of course, as an entrepreneur, there are stresses.
Yeah, stresses.
Meanwhile, when I say I'm stress-free, does not mean that I don't have any stress. No. It comes, but it doesn't last. The stress that is bad is the stress that goes on for a long time and affects your relationships, affects your business, affects your health. That's the one that we are worrying about. Being continuously on tension, non-stop, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, you're on tension. Bakubanja, you're on tension. That's the one where I'm not talking about the one where you get a bit stressed for 5 minutes and then it's back. Yeah. So there are different coping mechanisms. I don't know if, because can I start them?
Oh, please.
Yeah. So that means I'll just simply tell you about my day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, because my day is all about building resilience.
Okay.
Building resilience. Everything that I do, I'm building resilience. Yeah. So that I can be able to cope with life. So number one, I meditate.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know how I can explain meditation.
It's one of those things.
Shall we just ask people to Google it or what? Because
it's
many ways of meditating.
Definitely many ways, yes.
Many ways of meditating. But if you go on YouTube and go on Google, you'll find ways of meditating.
Yes.
Meditating is really just about relaxing the body and, of course, the mind.
So this is at the beginning of every day?
Every day.
Uh-huh.
Today I woke up at 4:30 in the morning and meditated until 5:30. Yeah.
Okay.
So I just sit down, I put my back is straight, and I focus my breathing on my nose. Breathe in. When I'm breathing in, I know. When I'm breathing out, I know. That's all. I try to keep my thoughts away because I'm focusing on my breath. But if my thoughts come, I allow them to come and go. I don't hold on to my thoughts. So whichever thought comes, I have a show on Radio 1 today, no, it goes. I don't hold on to the thought.
Okay.
Yeah, so I sit there and just relax as much as possible for that 1 hour. I was counting breaths. I think today I did about 700 breaths.
Wow.
Yeah.
Breaths.
So yeah, yeah.
I thought you're finished me with walking from Busia. Now
Yeah.
you're counting breaths. But yes, let's continue.
Sometimes I go to 1,000. Yeah. So that is meditation. Yeah. So when I got up, I decided to jump rope. Yeah. So after my meditation, I jumped rope. So I did exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did jumping jacks as well as jumping rope. Yeah. After that, meanwhile, this can be enough for anyone.
Yeah.
If you can meditate and just do exercise,
For
and
how
then
long?
go and start your day.
Exercise for how long? Because the meditation you said.
I did an
you
hour.
do an hour. but-
Jump rope. Jump rope. I did 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I was, huffing and puffing at the end of it. Yeah. Now that can be enough. And there are guys like us who take it an extra mile. Yeah. So there is something they call qigong. It's a form of standing meditation. It's like isometric exercises where you stand still and keep certain positions.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's an ancient Chinese martial art, internal martial art that I practice. I'm a certified qigong practitioner. It's powerful. It's powerful in the sense that it makes your body really strong and makes your mind also very, very strong. So you can Google it out, listeners. It's called qigong. Google it, see how it is. It's more like Tai Chi, but Tai Chi is more about movement.
Yeah.
Qigong is more about stillness.
Holding positions.
Holding positions, and you hold them. This one I did for 45 minutes. Holding positions. Yeah. Qigong actually is like my favorite. Resilience building exercise that I do twice a day.
Yeah.
Then there is also breath work. If you can Google what they call the Wim Hof. Wim Hof, have you heard of Wim Hof?
No.
The Iceman. Oh man, some guy from Netherlands.
What happens in Wim Hof?
The Wim Hof method. So Wim Hof method, you breathe in
For how long?
40 times, then you hold your breath 1.5 minutes. Then you come back.
Oh, I see.
2 minutes. Then until 3 minutes.
Oh, I
2
see.
minutes to, yeah.
So you
So
do it progressively.
Yeah.
You do the 40 breaths, hold for a minute or
for 1.5,
one and a half.
then do 40 breaths, hold for 2 minutes,
40
then
breaths, hold for 3.
2.5 minutes.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Incrementally, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
So the thing is that when you're doing that, you're balancing your parasympathetic nervous system as well as the sympathetic nervous system. You're balancing them like a seesaw. Yeah. Each one of them, when you're breathing hard, the sympathetic comes in. That's the one of fight and flight. Then when you stop breathing, you hold the parasympathetic, which is relax and digest, comes in. Yeah. So when you're balancing them, when you do that balance, you take stress away.
Oh,
Yeah, that's why they use a lot of breathing exercises for stress management on a daily life. In your daily life, there are many different kinds of breathing. Yes, when the breath is the root of the mind, is the root of the consciousness. So if you can be able to control it, you can be able to control the mind and calm it down.
okay.
Yeah, so the breath work is very, very good for calming the mind, relaxing your body. That one I also did.
Okay.
Then there is fasting.
Fasting.
Yeah. I do what they call intermittent fasting. Yeah. Fasting is very, very, very good because it removes toxins from your body. And the toxins in your body cause chemical and physical and biological stress on the body. And when they cause that on the body, it also reflects on the kind of thoughts the body is generating and the kind of thoughts you have in your mind. So depression can come from a body that is full of toxicity. So when you fast, by reducing your food intake, so I don't have breakfast, I start to eat at 2 p.m. All these workouts and everything I do on an empty stomach.
So when is your last meal at the end of the day? When you're
6, 7. That's when I eat supper. 2 o'clock I have a cup of porridge. Then in the evening, 6 to 7 I eat, and that's
so wait,
it.
from 7 p.m. to 2 p.m. you don't eat anything.
Yeah, that's like what? That's like 18 hours of
I feel like I'll be
fasting.
pronounced dead at 10 a.m.
Well, you don't have to do it like that. You can.
Oh, you can just progressively.
You can. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because my goal is actually to have one meal.
Mm.
Yeah. So at that 2 o'clock so-called cup of porridge at 2 o'clock, nothing.
Yeah.
So I only eat one meal.
I
Yeah.
see. Oh,
The
so
whole-
you progressively get to this. You
You
don't just
build
start
capacity.
something.
Yeah, you
Okay.
build capacity. The whole point is do not fill your body with food all the time. Your digestive system needs a break. Plus, when your body is full of food all the time, you are always high on insulin in your body. Your body produces
Because that's to
insulin.
keep processing the food.
Yeah, and that can cause issues with your mental health as well as your physical health. Yeah.
I have a very interesting comment here from Ben. Ben says, all of this is good and sounds nice, but how can we actually practically apply these things in our daily life? Look at me. I stay in Nigeria. I
Yeah.
have to be in town. To get to town, I have to leave home by about 5:30. I have to drop children at school. In the evening, I stay late, have to pick kids from school, drop them back home. I get home earliest 8:30.
Yeah.
I'm tired and spent. I
Yeah.
have no time for exercise.
Yeah. 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 What time does he sleep? What time does he? He might be sleeping at 1 in the morning. You see, that's the problem.
Yeah, so but I think, well,
So
the
if-
wider question I see from Ben is, with our present kind of lifestyles that are very deeply rooted in capitalism,
Yeah.
where you have a job that you have to maintain,
Yeah.
you're probably staying out of town in one of the out of town suburbs, so
Mhm.
you're probably leaving home pretty early to drop off the kids, make it to work. You leave work, they say 9 to 5. These days it's more like a 7 to 9 sort of work environment. Within that, where do you carve out the time to meditate, do qigong, breath exercises?
No.
You barely have enough time within
Yeah.
a 24-hour day.
Yeah.
So how do you actually manage your day to get time to exercise, to meditate, and do all these other things?
Yeah. When I was telling you about those qigongs, I was telling you about my life.
Oh, I see.
That's why I told you at the beginning that if you sleep early, if I was that person, I would sleep early. Meaning that if I arrive at home at 8:30, I'd be in bed at 9:30. Bathe, but go to bed. Yeah. So that if you wake up from 9:30 to 4 in the morning, that's many hours of sleep, enough hours of sleep. Or 5. You can then wake up and have a 10-minute or 15-minute meditation.
Or you don't need to do a whole hour.
No, I was telling you
Everyone's-
about my life.
Yes.
Yeah. No, you
So
don't
just
have
do
to-
like a 10-minute meditation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In when I was in meditation, one breath is a meditation.
Mm.
So I told you I did 700 breaths, but one breath done with intention and attention is a meditation. So it doesn't matter how long; it is the quality, not the quantity. Yeah. Then jumping, for example, if that guy who is talking likes to jump,
Yeah.
jumping for 15 minutes, do you
It may
need?
take too much.
Come on.
You can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it in the bathroom
So-
just before you shower.
I would do that. So I
Yeah.
would meditate for 15 minutes
Mm.
and I would jump for 15 minutes.
Oh,
And
I
that
see.
that
That's
would do.
sufficient.
That would do. Then I would not have breakfast. I would not have breakfast. I'd wait until lunchtime, 1 p.m. when I would have my first meal. In so doing, I would allow my body to detox. I would allow my body to use the energy of the body not for digesting, but for healing me mentally and healing me physically. Yeah. So then You know, maybe in the office, maybe I could squeeze in 10 push-ups every 30 minutes. Because you have to build muscle, you know.
Yeah.
You have to build muscle so that you can improve your metabolism. Yeah. For you to have a good metabolism, especially as we're growing older, you have to build muscle. Yeah. So resistance training, like in push-ups and squats, is nice, and I believe you can do it even in an ad break. You can do 10 push-ups.
They don't
by
give
the
my
time
boss
you-
ideas. We're quickly running out of time, Shaka. This has been a very, very
Yeah.
I mean, many times when we're having these mental health discussions, it's pouring. Okay, well, you did having a bit of tough job on, but I like that many of your coping mechanisms are very simple, very practical things that anybody can be able to do, and I like that they can be done in very small increments.
Oh yeah.
You don't have to do that
Oh, yeah.
1 hour. You don't have to
Oh,
do
yeah.
7 working days. Just
No,
start
no,
with
no.
5-10 minutes and
No,
just
no.
progressively build
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
you have shared with us a lot. What is the one thing that you want the listeners to remember? If they forget everything, I hope they don't. But if they forget everything, what's the one thing that
Yeah.
you want them to remember?
Moving your body. And since I'm the walking Rotarian, I'm going to talk about walking. Walking is the best gift that you can give your body. When you walk, you improve your blood flow, you increase the supply of nutrients throughout your body, you oxygenate your brain, you produce hormones that are good, happy hormones, endorphins and everything to give you a good brain, a good mental health. It is so important to walk, and it is available to you, and it is free. Every time I walk around, I see hospitals packed in Kampala with very nice cars. Rich people, poor people, everyone is sick. But if you start to walk, you begin to heal yourself. A body that walks heals itself mentally, heals itself physically. Start walking with how much you can walk. The distance that you can walk is up to you. But you will build it up as you stay consistent.
Yeah.
Consistency is the key.
All right. Thank you so much, Shaka Banda, for making time for the show. Probably drag you back here to have a bit more discussions. Unfortunately, that's all the time we had. Coming up in a bit is this, the news in English. Thereafter, the Saturday Cruise.
The moment that